But simply put, what is trail running? Trail running is basically unpaved running, typically giving you a heightened degrees of freedom in movement. This just really means more variability. And hopefully I can establish a good argument why you should try trail running. Reason number one, trails have a lot more uneven surfaces. This basically requires you to activate your stabilizer muscles a whole lot more. Your ankle, your knee, your hip, and even your core. Unpredictable terrain forces your body to adapt because no two strides are truly the same. I personally found that trail running particularly strengthens my ankle complex. It's no rarity that when I get done with a good trail run, I'll be sore around the ankle and my calf for days. Plus, in the long run, this leads to stronger calf musculature, tendon, and bone. This can also have good transference to your paved running endeavors. Naturally, in trails, you'll have a little bit more of a hopping style of running. This leads to less impact on joints. The dirt, gravel, and soil give the ground a little bit of a cushiony feel. Something else you might consider is decreasing the activation energy required to trail run. A good way to go about this is walking the uphills. When I started trail running, I thought to myself that I had to run every single piece of the trail. But in reality, a lot of trail runners tend to walk the uphills and run the rest. Reason number two, the mental stress and relief side of things. I've always been marveled at how trail running can change my perception of time and effort. Typically, a 10-mile run on the trails feels like a 6-mile run, and a 90-minute run on the trails feels like a 60-minute run. There's just something about being detached from everything in the woods, present, that just makes everything melt away. Trail running basically demands your full attention since you're carefully watching every step. This means that there's little room to overthink or pondering about other stressors in your life. There's even a phrase in Japanese that I'll probably butcher, but it goes about the words of shirin yoku, which in English, it literally translates to forest bathing. It's an invitation to recharge and pause. It's incredibly therapeutic, and a lot of people use it in aims to target their diseases and comorbidities, things like anxiety or depression. Reason number three, seeking discomfort. Trail running tends to be a little bit harder than other styles of running. You're outside, meaning you're subject to the elements. Rain, shine, cold, hot. There's also the higher level of commitment where a lot of people have to drive to a trail to be able to access it. Trail running is naturally more technical, so you'll have a little bit of a higher heart rate and a slower pace. However, the adventure feeling of trail running can lead to immense feelings of achievement. I definitely have a big sense of accomplishment after dialing some miles in trails. Reason number four, it's just primal. There's something about being out there in the woods that makes me want to frolic in the forest and grab a spear and go hunting. Just something about getting muddy and dirty. And if you're able to do trail running with some friends, it's like you're back in the hunter-gatherer era. Now that you're hopefully convinced on why you should try trail running or stick to it, then how do you start? Although there's no true gear that you need to do trail running other than some good running shoes and underwear, I suppose, the entry level is pretty minimal. So what kind of shoe wear do you take on a trail? There are many different opinions and debates around this topic, but I truly do trend towards a more minimalist and wide toe box kind of shoe. The brand I particularly wear and love is Ultra. A wider toe box allows more of a proper display of the toes in the shoe. This leads to the usage of your intrinsic foot muscles and a better dispersion of forces. Also, a lesser drop in the shoe means you'll probably have a little bit more of a mid to forefoot strike pattern. Not necessarily saying that heel striking is bad, but it can help teach you to utilize more of your musculature to be able to absorb your strike on the ground. In terms of drop, this basically is just the difference between the back side of the foot and the front side of the foot. You can think of it as an angle of inclination. Conditioning shoes will have a lot of height on the heel side and lessened height on the toe side. A more minimal drop or a zero drop will naturally put more stress on the Achilles complex, but unless you have a pathology that's revolving around the ankle or the foot, you'll probably just gain strength from utilizing this kind of shoe. Having a more barefoot style of footwear also allows you to be more in contact with the ground, allowing you to have a heightened sense of proprioception. This basically means your body's capacity to sense where its joints are in space. This allows for increased feedback with the surrounding terrain around you, which just leads to just better running. On the flip side, I truly think that highly cushioned shoes might not be the best bet on trails. They can provide a lot of instability, particularly side to side, making it hard to maintain a solid footing. This could also make the user more prone to ankle sprains. And as I mentioned previously, it can dampen the amount of feedback that you're getting through your foot, which brings about big deficits in your capability to be able to adapt to the trail. But what about other kinds of gear, like camelbacks, vests, or handheld water bottles. I think all of these are great, but definitely not required. If you're out on the trail for longer periods of time, you might want to bring a vest or a camelback or a handheld water bottle. But I do tend to see a lot of people go overboard with these. There's truly no need to overpack, and you're better off putting more energy into proper hydration and fueling strategies prior to the run. This will truly make or break your running experience. But by rule of thumb, if you're going on lengthy runs, you might want to bring something. If your run is 90 minutes or more, you might want to bring some type of digestible carbohydrate or a fatty food. Many companies nowadays sell gels, but I would suggest not overlooking the power of fruit or dried nuts. In terms of hydration, make sure to consume water with electrolyte. Important electrolytes like magnesium, sodium, and potassium are the ones that allow your musculoskeletal and cardiovascular system to work efficiently. Presented with the option to either drink 2 glasses of plain water or 1 glass of water with some pink salt in it, I'd probably choose the latter. So you're motivated and ready to head out to adventure. But how do you know where? I love utilizing an app called AllTrails, which basically shows you all of the trails in the surrounding area, as well as a topographic map. You're able to download trails on AllTrails as well, and if you ever get lost or do not have cellular connection, you're able to make your way back to your starting point. Heat maps on Strava also shows common running trails around your area. A lot of smartwatches also have included GPS and tracking systems, like Garmin, which allows you to backtrack the way you came, so it's basically impossible to get lost. So hopefully at this point you're daydreaming about endless miles on your backyard trail. Or maybe you're just trying to lace the shoes for the first time in a while. Either way, step outdoors and see where the trails take you. After all, not all those who wander are lost. And if you made it this far, Luna and I are a big fan of you. Drop a comment if you're wanting to try some trail running or if you have some experience with it already. Signing off. Until the next one.